Up next we have PSY versus Richard. PSY is Burgundians, Richard is Malay. Now, Burgundians, you immediately think Flemish Revolution. So as Malay, you should immediately think I should go Scorpions, and I should plan on holding until the Flemish militia are dead. So Scorpions, build your own castle, get 2-hand spam out. You can fight Flemish militia with 2-hand spam, with siege behind, and you'll be fine. Civs that don't get heavy Scorpion at a disadvantage, but Malay do get it. So you should be able to handle it. Flemish Revolution is hard to pull off on a 3-player map because your opponent has so much time. It's generally better on a 2-player map if you can find the right balance. Now, there is a pretty large gap in seed. PSY maybe 10 seeds ahead of Richard. I forget where Richard was on the seeding. But that should mean that PSY will have a lead in his economy. So the higher seeds tend to have much cleaner builds. We see very little unused space. So this optimized this unused space here because the market will go up. This space very optimized, whereas Richard, nothing's here. Market will go up there at some point. And first sell doesn't mean much when you only have 200 wood to sell. Again, well, 17 vills is pretty standard for a 3-player map size. And in general, normally on an 8-player game, you're going to go 15 vills up to get first sell. 16, you can sometimes get first sell. 15, is generally as fast as anybody will go. As Malay, you can go 17 or 18, and you have faster up times, so that should make up for it. You see Richard, wasted space, could be building farms here. PSY already in castle, adding a 2nd town center and soon a 3rd. 5 vills behind, but not for long. And we should see some farms go up. Again, very clean use of space. Once this tree goes down, we'll see another farm go up. So for Malay, you want to boom when you hit imp. I would cut here. Go 5-6 town centers. Add a castle. Cut a very narrow path. Wall it nicely so that if you are fighting 3-4 times your numbers, you will only be fighting an even amount of numbers at any one point because it will be frontline against frontline. If you have heavy Scorpions, you can chew through the larger numbers, and the Burgundians player will have killed their economy by going Flemish Revolution. And you can then, as Malay, add bombards, quickly clear any buildings, and siege, take your 2 hands and run into the base and kill the Burgundians player. Now, as Burgundians, if you do go Flemish Revolution, you should back it up with some siege, onagers in case your units get trapped and walled out, bombards to kill any siege. If your units are unprotected, it will be difficult to take advantage of having more units. Now PSY is in the top 4, so he surely will know this. And we should see if he goes Flemish Revolution, that he'll have some siege along with it. Alternatively, you can pick Burgundians and bluff your opponent. If you pick Burgundians, your opponent should expect to see Flemish Revolution, and you can rush as fast as you can. Hard to do that on a 3-player map, but on a tiny map would be interesting to see. Again, not as clean for Richard, who is 30 vills behind and currently housed. Whereas Psy, close to 50 vills ahead, 6 town centers compared to 3. Again, player who's not tuning up their game for a larger map size, 5 town centers is the minimum. I would go 7 or 8. Especially if you're against Burgundians, who you can expect will be booming hard. 7 town centers, Psy at double the pop, already has a castle up. Richard's castle going up now doesn't have anywhere near the number of farms that he will need, which is about 60 if he wants to go 2 hands. Another town center going up. Now every minute that Psy can save here, he will be able to bank resources to rebuild or support his Flemish Revolution. We see Richard has a nice wall here. The wall is what you want. The 3 town centers, not so much. Barracks for 2 hands, what you want. You should have double or triple this amount. And you really need heavy scorpions. Onagers can work well. I prefer the scorpions. And here comes Psy. He's triggered Flemish Revolution. Needs to run forward and clear the siege, which he does. The 2 hands are out. And Psy has the siege to support Flemish Revolution. Richard has no production buildings back here, no siege. He will quickly go down. And already calls it. And if you look at the timeline, huge jump in military, 8 times what Richard had. Yeah. So game 2 here, Goths versus Khmer. Now if you're Khmer, you really don't want to be fighting Goths. If you're a lot of civs, you don't really want to be fighting Goths. Particularly if you're a civ without bombard cannons, you don't want to be fighting Goths. Why? Because the way you stop Goths is with heavy Scorpion. Khmer do have the best Scorpion. However, if you have pretty much limitless infantry with bombard cannons behind, you can clear Scorpions with bombards and protect your bombards with infantry. Very difficult to fight the Goths player, particularly when your infantry is lacking. Which the Khmer don't really have good infantry. They don't have champs, and they do have hand cannoneers. Hand cannoneers would be decent. I'd go hand cannoneers, scorpions, and halberdiers. if I was Khmer. As Goths, you're going to be going Bombard Cannons definitely against Khmer. You could go Huskarls. Huskarls have more defense against Scorpions, but I would just prefer Champion Bombard Cannon. Really can't go wrong, especially if you're able to boom. If Sai booms the way he did last game, and Richard stays at 3 town centers, Sai will be in a much better position. Now the Khmer do have a very, very strong 7x7 build. However, Richard is not in a better position than Sai. Again, higher seed, has the more practiced build. Generally not what you see on 7x7. It would seem that Richard is chopping trees, making farms, which is the advice I give to newer players. As long as you have town centers pumping out vills, as long as all your vills are working, you'll be in a decent enough spot. Problem is, when you're against a player with a very clean build, you will always be a little bit behind. Sai has more farms. Sai, they're even on vills, but that's because Sai already in Castle Age. This could go down and a farm could go up. Another farm could go here. This space not being used. Could delete this, build houses here instead, although a town center may be going up. So again, a cleaner build for the Goths player. 5 villagers ahead already, and you're not going to catch up. 2 town centers against 3. Now the third town center is very interesting, because you generally don't see 3 town centers on 7x7. Sai is able to keep, not able to keep them all queued. Has a little bit of idle time here and there, but he's able to use them efficiently enough, and now that enough farms go up to keep them fully queued, that he's going to have a tremendous eco lead. Richard adding a third. Okay. Non-standard play from both players. Sai's non-standard play is on purpose, whereas Richard does not seem to have an end goal in mind here. As we hear the market and monastery go up for Sai. Oh, well, Richard does not need the buildings to go up. So he will be an imp first, but he doesn't have any onagers to cut with. Does he have the resources? He has the resources for a couple mangonels, a couple meaning 1. So you're an imp, not able to cut with more than just 1 onager. Gonna be in a very bad position here. When Sai has 4 onagers, cutting quickly, already 10 vills up, going to add more town centers, a castle, potentially. Is he going to stay at 3 town centers and add a castle? Is he selling stone? No, that's Richard. Sorry. Okay, this is what we want to see from Richard. 5 town centers. You need a castle at some point. go heavy on Scorpion, flood with Haubs to protect your Scorpions and run forward and kill any bombard cannons. And we see 6 town centers, 7 town centers, 8 town centers from PSY. So his boom will be stronger. Like I said, 5 is the minimum. You really want to be going 7 or 8. PSY 30 bills ahead. And that lead is going to continue. Not sure why PSY is cutting this way. Maybe to boom a little bit. It's pretty clear if you're here that your opponent would be here. Tournament maps are in a clock position. You would expect your opponent to be on the opposite side, generally. So PSY cutting the complete wrong way. And again, so is Richard. Actually, Richard is cutting every way. Now, against Goths, you don't want to have an open space, generally, if you don't have better infantry. Unless you can keep a lot of Scorpions out, which we aren't seeing here. If you're adding blacksmiths and barracks, you expect to see Haubs come out of those. Stables for Hussar, archery ranges. Archery ranges, not really a play you want against a Goth player who has a castle. You can tell they have a castle because this is a 3-player map. And you can check market prices if you really need to. Why are we seeing Goth stables? Not sure. A non-standard play. Okay, 2 hands. So you don't want to be fighting infantry with worse infantry. You're gonna play to your civ's strength. If your civ's strength is not infantry, maybe go something else. The problem is you're gonna be fighting. Okay, we see Hussar. Again, Goth Hussar, not the civ strength. Maybe to snipe Scorpions in siege. Maybe to run straight into economy. You'd expect to see an infantry flood here. Where are these going? Okay, sniping siege was the plan. Running into the economy. Running into the castle. Richard not happy with that. Overreacted a bit. And PSY is going to keep running in, and Richard overreacting to that is going to cost him the game. It looks like it is cleaned up. Large overreaction. You do see the Goths get 10 more pop space, and now we see this infantry that we expected to see. Where are the Scorpions? Nowhere to be seen. You're fighting infantry with worse infantry. There's no way to win. And PSY advances.